Hi, this is Robin Zodiac, and today is Friday, January 26, 2018. And if the phone rings, I'm going to cut in the middle and redo it. So, take two. Anyway, I've been filming my reality show that's going to be airing in New York City. It's possible I might be doing 2 seasons, or 3 seasons, but 2 seasons are in the works, and it's hilarious. It's funny. It's going to be great, but it'll only be seen in New York City. So everybody aboard is having a good time with it, and it's hilarious. So anyway, it kind of relieves some stress because I have been involved in litigation or some cases with the government, the banks, and the government. So at the end of last year, and I talked about this on my radio TV show December 15th, my daughter and her friend, my play daughter, were guests, and the sound wasn't very good, but I did have the sound adjusted, so if you can sit through it. It's about basically I settled with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac mortgages. I was in court. I went into court September of the year, September 2015, the year that The Big Short came out. A couple months later, I think it came out Christmas time. So I was already in court. But not only with Deutsch, which I'm currently fighting, who is in Luxembourg, which I think I've talked about in vlogs. I've definitely talked about. But it was Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. That was basically what was happening, is that when you're born with a currency of blood. Currency, it's called relative value. It's part of the equation on how the banks determine your value. And so your birth certificate is a certificate of receipt, and you are traded as a commodity on Wall Street. And if you've watched a lot of conspiracy theories, this is nothing new. But the new thing is that your bloodline and your zip code in a mortgage your bloodline is called a promissory note, which is attached to your birth certificate or your Social Security trust, which is like, it used to be a savings account. In the 50s, that's how people referred to it, was your passport was your savings account. But the government fraudulently, it was FDR and Nixon. Nixon started using our Social Security trust to fund the media. And then Bill Blythe, or Bill Clinton, was the one that used our Social Security trust to fund Wall Street and the prison system. And the prison systems are connected in most of the Commonwealth countries, because you're under maritime law if you represent yourself in court, and the courts actually pay you to represent yourself in court until you go to trial, and you don't need an attorney, and they will dismiss it because they can't throw the book at you under maritime law if you're representing yourself in court under common law. So I originally filed myself under common law, but these are civil cases. So eventually I did find an attorney, and loved his name. That's why he became my attorney. It's Den is More. So anyway, so I got in the mail today, I settled with Fannie Mae. So that means that the house that I had purchased is actually in a resort area, and in the late 1800s or so, maybe even earlier, the Beverly Hills in Southern California would travel up to this resort mountain community And back in the cowboy and Indian days, they had to register their gun with the gun registry, which is the house that I bought. It was remodeled into a home, but originally the land was the Southern California Gun Registry, and half of the lot into the next lot I also owned, which was the post office. And we all know that the post office was how we generated income to pay for our politicians and for people to send people to Washington on our behalf. But that's been overturned since FDR, and then Nixon made a bigger mess, and then Clinton made even a bigger mess, and then 9/11 happened. And the house that I'm talking about, I actually went into escrow, opened up escrow on 9/11 2002, a year anniversary later, went into contract with the government on the gun registry. Well, I was paying my mortgages on time, and then there was another case that came up that I'm also currently fighting, and like I've said before in other vlogs, I don't know if I'll talk about it or if I will talk about it. I don't know what kind of content I'm going to talk about it in, but you have to watch my TV shows if you're in New York City. But anyway, moral of the story is that I got a letter from the government, okay, saying this is a cancellation of debt, meaning that the government allowed me to take from my strawmen or my CUSIP bond. A CUSIP bond is the same thing as a promissory note. So I made a pledge of my own money to that property, which is the gun registry, and it's called a deed of trust, meaning that my Social Security trust and the deed of trust, the land, the zip code, the property address of all those that have been documented on that lot or lot and a half, that address is now what is called a mortgage. So what I did is that I know that they committed fraud. I mean, it's all over the place. Even Kamala Harris, who is actually the defendant on this, along with Hillary Clinton, was a defendant on this Fannie Mae case. It says cancellation of debt, and I wanted to let you know what is going back into my CUSIP bonds, or back into my savings account, or back into my bloodline. And I'm not talking about all those people that passed before that had been affiliated to that land, lot, and property, or registered their gun with that land, lot, or property. And with the post office and everything, it was like the perfect scenario. Also, I bought the house at a probate. The previous owner was murdered by the brother. So the brother also, I think there was some relation. It could have been the man that owned the home was murdered by his brother. I bought it out of probate. That's how it worked. Okay, so it was the gun registry. So I bought it out of probate. So that means that there really wasn't anything living when I bought it. So I was paying a ghost, pretty much. Okay, so all the ghosts that had been registered with that land or that property or that address or that post office or whatever is now the history of my CUSIP bond. So it's imaginary. Money doesn't exist. It's all imaginary. People have money because they have numbers on a piece of paper. So I'm going to read you the number that is going back into my Social Security trust, my bloodline, and all the ghosts that came before me, and this amount also. So this is just the tip of the iceberg of all the digits that are going back into my family tree, okay, because of this fraudulent mortgage. So they're going to grant me more relative value, meaning that we all have a dollar amount. Well, I played a game and I won. So this is the IRS amounts, which, once again, this is what they have reported. Cancellation of debt for $96,491.50. So close to $100,000 of my bonds trust money is going back to my family, along with all those before me of the gun registry. So it was a good mail day. So if you like what you hear, please subscribe. I know a lot of people think that they have no idea what this blonde woman's talking about, but I'm just ahead of my time. So please subscribe and things will catch up.